Welcome to Sharing My Truth with Mel and Susie, the uncensored version, where we bear it all.
We do.
Hello, and welcome back to Sharing My Truth Pod. And you're here with Mel, Little MILF, and Sexy Suze, and we're here to take you on a journey of love. Swinger edition. Meet us in the hot tub. Here's a cute friendly reminder to give this pod a little thumbs up, a little 5 stars. Shoot us a review. You know, if you love us, then say something, okay?
Yes.
Don't be a little pussycat. Hey, babes.
Hello, darling.
How are you?
I'm fabulous.
I'm fine.
I know, it doesn't sound good when it comes to
I'm
me,
fine.
does it?
Yeah, no.
Fabulosely, amazingly.
So good.
Wonderful.
Good.
There you go. Yeah.
That was nice.
Mm.
I mean, we can't all be fabulous all the time, but somehow you do it so well.
This is true. One of my key skills.
We have a funny little episode today, and it's about something that, Mel, I mean, you never wanted it. You never wanted it, did you?
Never wanted it.
Never wanted the swingies.
Definitely not.
You've never even thought about the swinging?
No.
What about swings on swings? What about sex swings?
Well, I mean, that is a big fucking thing, a sex swing. And let's be practical. How do you actually have sex on a sex swing?
It's too much.
I mean, it all sounds sort of interesting, but really, what's the point? Could you explain the point?
Well, yeah, you're on this swing. You're having
You have to be a gymnast.
a laugh.
Yeah, a laugh. A right
You're having a
laugh.
laugh. And, you know, you're getting on. It's supposed to swing you into each other and apart.
But then you need 2 swings, don't you?
No, because you're on one swing together.
On top of each other.
In a way, yes. The woman's on top.
I really can't see how that's very comfortable.
Mel, I gotta gift you a swing for your
and then you need
birthday.
some fucking major iron.
You
whatever.
do. You definitely need some kind of a red room, a dungeon,
With a-
sex room
Yeah.
to have a little fun sex swing.
I think it's problematic if you've got children.
I mean, it's not necessarily something you want in the playroom.
No. In the dungeon. But I think, yeah, no, I've never thought of it.
All right. Well, maybe not sex swings, but what about swingers?
Again, I've never thought of that. I mean, I was born in the 70s.
So you were
72,
really right
and that
in there
was sort of, yeah.
with the key
I
parties.
yeah, that's when it was all happening. I was obviously
You were a child.
a child. To be honest, no idea whether my parents were into that. I doubt my mother was. Questionable my father could have been. Definitely questionable whether some of their friends were into it. But it was a big thing, you know. I don't know why. I mean, there've been some movies, haven't there, sort of like of that era. I'm trying to think of one. And it always seems to sort of center around suburban America where everyone
Yes.
was really bored.
And then they all fuck.
Yeah.
I mean, I think that's a thing where it's like repressed men and women are in their suburban homes with their white picket fences, and a lot of them are just have never had actual sexual experiences, and they needed to get on, and the only other people they're seeing is their neighbors.
Yeah, and that's your social life. I think it's also a thing like, you know, I sent you today that article.
Mm-hmm.
Susie and I are constantly, well, I'm constantly sending her articles. And it was, I think, was it in the New Yorker? I should
Yeah, I
actually
think so.
see. And the title of it, and it is sort of relevant to swinging, was, I'm just going to get it here.
Is polyamory.
How did polyamory become so popular?
Yeah.
And one of the things it talks about is how, like, people are not into conventional marriages anymore. Like,
Yeah.
rather than getting divorced, especially if there's a lot of money involved, why not, to quote Susie Schechter,
What?
open up your marriage?
Mm-hmm.
And I suppose today people are doing it maybe in the polyamorous environment.
Well,
Maybe
yeah.
they're doing it that way. And so maybe in the 70s, I know
Mhm.
people are still in swinging, it was more in the swinging thing. I don't know. I mean, so let me just
Yes,
start
darling.
so the definition of swinging.
Yes, darling.
Okay, so this is important to get this.
Mel
be-
loves her definitions.
Well,
She loves this. This is a serious matter, everyone.
Let's be correct, right? A swinger is a person who is lively and fashionable.
done.
Number 2, swingers are people who are married or in a long-term relationship and who like to have sex with other people's partners.
Yes.
So that's the key. it's other people's partners. Whereas if you're polyamorous,
Right.
you're not necessarily partnered up.
Yeah.
And I remember recently having a conversation with somebody, and this was kind of weird because it was in a business meeting, and she was telling me, this woman, how she'd gone to these parties in LA, like not sex, like
Yeah.
friends parties, and she'd noticed that, and she wasn't married, or she doesn't not in a relationship. She noticed that lots of married people were like either approaching her to be like the other
Mhm.
in like a threesome or a polyamorous situation. She's like,
Yes.
no, I'm not. That's very nice, but no thanks.
Yeah.
But she noticed that lots of couples were doing that, were wanting to stay in their couple and bring somebody in, either in the threesome sense, i.e. in
But
one-off sex
they don't want a
thing.
relationship. They
Exactly.
just want a
Well,
one-off.
I think there's two. Like, once there is a scenario in today's world, that's why I'm comparing like the swinging of the 70s to the polyamory of the, what are we in, do we call it the 20s?
2020s.
I don't know what you call it.
2020s.
Because, yeah, anyway, whatever you call it, the 20s, whatever. Is that today it's about you stay in your couple and you bring somebody into the couple, either for a one-off experience or who is kind of in your love triangle thing.
Yeah.
But they're an additional person. They're not kind of in a relationship with somebody else, right? They're coming in.
Yeah.
And maybe staying in and having relationship with all of you or whatever they're doing. There's all machinations of it.
Yes.
Whereas swinging is both of you are going out there and completely swapping with somebody else, and then coming back and like going back to your ordinary life of going to the supermarket and whatever you're doing.
Well, it's all a part of like the ethical non-monogamy, which we've talked about before on this pod.
Yeah.
Of like actually being able to tell your partner. Like, the great thing about swinging in a partnership, obviously, is that you're doing it together. You're not sleeping together with the other people. You're not having like an orgy, but like each other is going off with another couple, experiencing something else.
Right.
And then you're coming back and then you're either
You're
talking
carrying on,
about it or you're not talking about it, but you know each other has done that and you know each other has had a good experience.
And you're doing it, I think the theory is, at the same time. So unlike an open marriage where one person may have experiences, blah, 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 that finishes, and the other person, it's sort of happening at the same event at the same time.
Exactly.
I think that's the idea.
I think it's also a good thing. It really helps relationships kind of like break free of this like normalized, just like we're sleeping together and only together and you can't even look at another woman. Like, it really helps when you have other couples who you're like friends with who also are very like-minded in a sexual way too, and then you're having fun conversations, and then sometimes you make out, sometimes you suck a dick, and then that's great.
Sometimes you suck a dick.
Why not?
I love the way you put that. Because I mean, I guess you have to have the parties, because otherwise how are you going to meet the people that want to do it? I think my issue, I don't have any issues.
You have an issue.
Swing away, do whatever the hell you want. It's not my cup of tea, and I do have a cup of tea by my side here. It's not my tasse de thé. However, what I do think about swinging, and the stories I have heard in my life from people I know, or like sort of urban myth or whatever. I remember a lady who used to have facials with her. She would tell me about the people in the salon, like, that one's having an affair, that one's a swinger.
Oh my gosh.
It was absolutely hilarious, and in a very upscale neighborhood. And I just, it was funny. So then when you'd see the people, you'd be like, oh my God, that woman's a swinger.
That woman likes bondage.
And that woman's husband is fucking that woman, and they don't know. And I know this stuff. I don't know why this woman blabbed me. And she was
a very blabbable person.
I think it was the whole English, blabby blab. Anyway, I don't know. And I think it was because I was nicer and didn't treat her like, something on the bottom of her shoe. Yeah. Exactly. Anyway, the thing that she was telling me about swinging. Oh, and the other thing is that her sister was a swinger. So this was added to the whole thing, which is just fascinating. Is that she said the problem is that often both people don't actually want it. And like in her sister's relationship, she didn't want it and she went along with it because the husband wanted it. And then he ended up going off with one of his swingies, which does obviously happen. So, I mean, if you are genuinely both interested in purely having other sexual experiences outside of your married sexual experience, and you both want to do it on the same or sort of equal level, or you're at in that same space, then of course it can work.
Yeah, but like exactly what you're saying, you have to be honest about the situation as in like this can happen and your man or your woman could fall in love with someone else because they're
Yeah.
fucking each other better and like
Right. You got
maybe
to
they have a better dick and
well, that's what this beautician said to me.
oh
Is
my
like,
god.
that's what happens is essentially you are opening the Pandora's box.
Yes.
And you have to be aware that if you open any Pandora's box in your life,
Oh my god.
it can open all sorts of things.
Other things.
And
yeah.
it generally, when you open these sort of avenues to things happen that you don't think were going to happen.
Yeah.
So either the experience for you is totally not what you thought it would be, or for your partner, whatever. Which leads on to
Yep. So
something.
we have a cute, sweet little supple write-in. Someone just wanted to talk to us about her predicament of wanting to be a swinger. And it's pretty crazy because you don't really hear about it that often as well. Like people might say it to each other and they might say it to their friends, like maybe we could hook up, but like they're not really serious about it, right?
Yeah, I don't
So
think.
I mean, you just never know. Like, so this person wants to be a swinger, but their husband doesn't. And so obviously not a great thing to be in because if you have these feelings of wanting to experience other things, especially sexually, and your partner doesn't feel the same, that's a really hard thing to get over because you're never, as that sexual person who has these fantasies about these things and wants to experience it, you're not just going to get over that.
No, you're not.
You're really not just going to get over that. So, I mean, she wrote us quite a bit, but I'm going to just read a little bit of a blurb from her. And so she says that she would like to explore this ethical, non-monogamous community, but he doesn't want to. And she thinks he feels threatened by the whole thing.
Yeah, sure he does.
And she'd rather go to like these parties, the events with him and as a couple, and then like she doesn't want to have an affair.
Right.
So she's having these feelings and thoughts. She wants to go along with someone. She doesn't actually say whether it's a woman or a man. I'm assuming it's a man. And she says she actually thinks it would be good for them as a couple. But he doesn't feel the same way.
Yeah, which I think is very common.
Yeah.
I mean, to be honest, whether it's swinging, threesomes, it's very common that one person feels like this and then the other person is not really there and they generally do it to keep the other person happy.
Yeah.
And I understand, particularly if the woman wants to swing and the man is not on board, that is very threatening. Because she is basically saying to him, I don't want just you. And in his mind, that's like, you're not good enough.
Yeah.
I want to have sex with somebody else. And maybe he genuinely doesn't.
Okay, so
and
here's a twist.
Hugely problematic. Well,
you ready for it? So he's actually, they have kids. No problem. Okay. But he's a stay-at-home dad. And she doesn't think that's really a turn on. So she's trying to find escapes from this and really trying to like rekindle a spark that I think she found before they had children.
Oh no.
But so obviously it's just like how do you see your partner in a different way when you see, and it's the same thing with like when women are constantly with their children, right?
Yeah.
Like you can't really see them in a different way sexually because you see them so often at home doing their duties, doing whatever they have to do. Like, I don't know.
I'm not sure I completely agree with that. I think it does happen.
Yeah.
I think I actually saw an interesting thing, a psychologist talking about it today. And he was talking about women. Because obviously generically at home, more often than not, it's women, right? And that what happens is that when they have children, they have to transfer, they have to give care, and transfer this love. And, there's only so much love. You only have so much time, blah, blah, blah. And men start to feel their nose gets out of joint because they're not getting all that love. It's going somewhere else, right?
Yeah.
And then the woman basically has to make a choice. I've got to give more love to the kids because they need me.
Yeah.
The man gets more and more annoyed, blah, 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 blah. So this is almost like it's happening the other way around. But I think it's almost like, I mean, I don't know the circumstances. It's kind of really unfair, isn't it? In the sense that she's out in the world like a man every day seeing.
Like a man.
Because normally
Yeah.
in this situation, I mean, obviously there are stay-at-home dads and all power to you. And if that works for your family, you've made that decision, great.
Yeah.
But it's not as common, obviously, and
No.
probably never will be for obviously many obvious reasons, that she's going out into the world every day and seeing the world, and yeah, there is, I guess, more excitement. You see a different thing, and he's doing but very important stuff, right?
Well, it's hard too because
But she doesn't find that sexy. I find
well, that's hard,
I
right?
find
'Cause
that's
it's
for
like
a poor guy.
yes, but it's also like, and I would probably feel like this too. I'm obviously not a mother, but like if my man was like a stay-at-home dad, it's a bit demasculating,
Emasculate, yeah.
emasculating. And
Well, I agree, but I would.
do I want to see?
But that's the irony. I think we talked about this in our last episode, or one of our last episodes, is that as women, the double standard, like you've agreed for him to stay at home, and I assume it's often financial, like who's making more money,
Yeah.
right? And now you find it's not very manly. You're like,
I know.
that is not very fair, is it? I mean, I personally, I'll be very honest, would never, ever have chosen a man that would stay at home.
Yeah.
I mean, it's just not the way I operate, and it's not the relationship I have with my husband, and it just wouldn't work.
Yeah.
And I'm being brutally honest. I'm not in any way crushing anybody else and I'm saying that's the way I live
Yeah.
and what I wanted. I wouldn't want a man who was staying at home. I just wouldn't. But she's in this situation and now she doesn't find it manly.
I
It's a bit
know.
like, come on.
But here, okay, let's get back to the swinger thing,
Yeah.
right? So she wants to go off at these parties. She said that they've been to one together. He's not really into it. So what does she do? Does she go? You can't go to a swinger party alone, can you? Like,
Well, no, because that's the point of swinging.
yeah,
that you're
exactly.
together. I mean, look,
She obviously wants to have an affair.
well, that's what I'm talking about, the manly thing. She's obviously not finding him sexy.
Yeah.
She's not getting her rocks off. So she needs to go and find somebody who turns her on more, which is obviously not him, for a multitude of reasons, probably not just the fact that he's not at home. That's just sort of the icing on the cake. And I think in some ways swinging can often be an excuse to have an agreed affair. Like you actually do want to have another experience, but this is a way of doing it that you both agree.
Yeah.
And that sometimes the reason it goes wrong is that one person obviously really wants to do it. The other person doesn't want to have an affair, if you like.
Yeah.
They just go along with it and then the shit hits the fan. I mean, there is no choice here. Either she just gets over it, she has an affair which will destroy her life,
She's going to do it though.
or he backs down and lets her go off and have an experience, which should.
But she wants to have the experience with him. And that's the hardest part,
But does
right?
she?
I mean, that's what she
Maybe.
says. That's what she says. Like,
Do you think?
she wants to have this experience with him. I think it's just because she doesn't. It's hard when you've been in a relationship for so long, and obviously it sounds like they have because they have kids, right? Like,
Yeah.
they've been in this for a really long time. She wants to have this new sexual experience with him, someone who she's still innately attracted to, who is still with her, but
She doesn't
Yeah.
want to. I
It's
mean,
so hard.
it's a very tricky situation, and we've discussed this, ourselves. I have never wanted, for me,
yeah,
my relationship with my husband is about me and my husband. I
yeah.
don't want anybody else in that because it's too intimate, too personal.
But you're such a monogamous person, Mel.
Yeah, I think I am. Maybe I find it easy.
You do find it easy because there's a
think
lot of people
There
like
are
myself.
people who are monog. Do you think it's a thing?
Yeah, I think it's it, and I've said this before. It's a genetic. It is in your genetics.
Do you think?
Yeah, what's in your DNA.
Do you
whether
know
you're
what it can
monogamous or
be?
not.
Because I've had these conversations often with Max and, talk about the way men are and women are.
Yeah,
And I think, honestly, most men are not innately monogamous.
Mhm.
They have to, if they love their wife, of course, I mean, I'm a realist. Of course, men look at women. I mean, that you're just being
Women
naive.
look at men though.
Oh, yeah, but you're being naive if that.
Yeah.
And I think a lot of the time, obviously, you're choosing not to do something.
Mm-hmm.
But it is, how easy is that choice? And for me, that choice is very easy. Now, it is also easy by the fact that I very rarely meet anyone that I think, wow.
Yeah, Mel, I've never heard you be like, except for Idris Elba, I've never heard you say another man is
I mean,
attractive.
look, If there were like some, yeah, exactly. But even then, clearly not going to have an affair with 𝐤𝐥𝐻𝐸.
You
Or
could. What if you had the choice,
Michael
babes?
B. Jordan's very
Oh,
attractive.
there she goes.
I mean, there's lots of, men who are, but
Yep.
there's difference. Obviously, they're very attractive men. But I mean, yeah, that's it.
It's not doing you so much. See, like, I find people who I would fuck all the time.
Right.
Every day, in and out.
Really?
Goes in the brain, goes out. Goes in the brain, goes out.
Right.
And it's just I mean, I don't know why this happens. Some people are more sexual. Some people aren't more, some people want to fuck all the time. Some people don't care about it that much. Like, it's just such a weird thing. But sometimes you just can't help it, right? Like, it's the way your brain
No, I don't
is
think you can.
wired.
Yeah.
And whether you want to, obviously a lot of people are in relationships who are more sexual than their other partner. Or sometimes
I think
it's
that's
the
very
long term thing.
I think that's very common. It's almost impossible to match completely.
Yeah.
I think what's also very common is, because men and women are innately different, is that through the cycles of your life, you might at one point be more sexual and then your partner.
Yeah.
And that's the irony, actually. Often, like, women, they hit their peak. The man is way past his peak.
Yeah.
And then even later, when a woman's, hormones, like, she's sort of getting in 40s, 50s, and a man's really getting over it.
Yeah.
And a woman's, which is why sort of the MILF thing. And why a lot of older women can have younger boyfriends, because they really can just keep on going. And older men can't, But yeah, I mean, I don't know. I don't know about, like, are you genetically predisposed? I do think there is something in people who cheat
Mm-hmm.
or who, I mean, that's not fair. I suppose people who their minds wander a lot.
Mm-hmm.
I think it's very hard for people like that to be chained to one person.
Yeah, I think I know it's just funny the way, because we are so obviously different but the same.
Mhm.
And so it's just like, I cannot imagine only thinking about one person all the time.
Yeah.
And it's like, it's just so crazy, because also, I mean, if you watch porn and you have all these fantasies about things, are you always having that fantasy with the same person? And definitely I'm not.
Yeah, interesting. Yeah, I mean, I guess, and I get a lot of people who are monogamous watch porn. That's perfectly normal.
Oh my God, of course.
I don't know. I mean, I just think I don't really know enough about, like, the psychology of swinging,
Yeah.
because I know obviously it was like a real fashion, and it still must be. You have to go to parties, right?
I've always wanted to go to a key party.
You must, but now I
maybe
don't know
for the
if
people-
key parties
People
still
who don't
exist.
know what key parties are.
Yes. Yes,
Because we're old. And
Well, I'm old. I know
well,
what
but
it is.
it was a thing. And so it's where you put your house keys or your car keys.
Yeah, in the bowl.
In
Yeah,
the
I think
bowl?
it was
I think
because
car
it was meant
keys.
to be suburban America. You put car keys.
Car keys
yeah.
in the bowl, and then like at the beginning of the night, and then whoever's car keys you
Yeah.
pick out at the end of the night, that's who you're going home with. And
Yeah.
so like it's a very obviously
But I
old
don't
school
know-
thing.
Yeah, very old school. But I think there were variations. Was it always like leaving the premises, like swinging parties? A lot of people obviously, and I guess that's what happens.
Were they
today.
orgy parties?
Not.
Isn't that a different thing?
Yeah, that is a different thing. But I think, yeah, obviously you would go off, but there are also parties where they just kind of,
Do it there.
yeah, but not all
In the
together.
same.
Yeah. So I don't know today whether, obviously there are still swinging parties. Like, where are these swing parties? I don't know. Are they in like a sort of club format? Somebody needs to tell me.
I know. This is the thing.
Are they like these parties, like, where people sign up for stuff? Like sex party, like, I don't know. I've never been to sex party. You tell me. Have you been to sex party?
No, and I've always wanted to go.
This is very shocking to me.
It's shocking to me, Mel.
Wow.
I need to go to a sex
because
party.
there are like there's all this stuff goes on in this city. Well, in every city. But like
I've just never found the right people.
swinging-
Some of these communities are like a little weird. You know what I mean?
100%.
I think, and we've discussed this with some of our guests on, but like, when it's like you get that disgust factor,
Oh my god, yeah.
and then you can't
I
turn
get
it
it all
off.
the time. What are you talking
Well,
about?
I know
That's
you
why I don't meet
definitely.
people.
But like,
Yeah.
if you're like, ugh,
Yeah.
that's it. I can't get turned on more.
No.
So now I'm like, if I go to one of these parties, I'm gonna have to do some drugs or something, and I think that's what mostly happens.
Well, that sort of
Because-
defeats the
But then you
object
kind of have to,
going.
because then you kind of have, you can't get this like, you kind of have to just keep on being turned on, because if your disgust factor takes over in your brain and one of these swinger parties, like you don't want to, you know what I mean? that make sense?
Sort of. Yeah. I mean, I do obviously anything fringe,
Yeah.
and this is sort of, I guess, sort of
Fringe.
fringe, is going to attract
Yeah.
different types of people, and some of those people may not be.
Like, it would have to be so close. It would have to be such a, like, I would have to know everyone who's going and approve them and be like, okay, yep, I would fuck him. I would fuck him. I would fuck her. I would fuck her. And that would be like, great. And then,
But then
Do
you'd
you know
have to
what I
go with your
mean?
partner. You can't go on your own.
well, that's what I would want.
Yeah. But I guess I don't know, maybe people still have them in their houses.
I hope they do and invite us. We'll come.
No, I'm not coming.
Well, no, I'm going to go and I'm going to participate. You're going to go and you're going to take notes.
Okay, I'm taking notes. That's it. And I don't want to see anybody.
Journalist.
I don't want to see anybody doing anything. Like, ugh. And what do you do if you go with your very attractive partner
Yes.
and then you meet a couple like where, yeah, that's a good point, where one person in the couple is really attractive and the other one's hideous?
No, it would have to
So
be
what do you
both
do?
hot.
So
It
what
has
do
to
you
be
do?
both hot. You don't fuck any of them.
Wow. Okay. So I mean,
Or maybe we fuck the girl because she's hot and the guy can jerk off in the corner.
well, that's a whole different thing. That's not
all
even
I'm
swinging.
But that's what I'm saying.
No, you're
That's
taking it into a different realm, Susie. That's not swinging.
No, you're
We're not helping this woman at all.
sorry.
I think that you either have to come to a place where you're going to have to talk to your partner about it, and you either are able to find some kind of middle ground
Mhm.
where, I don't know, he gives you a hall pass.
Yeah.
I mean, he would be a big man. I mean, I don't mean down there. A big man
Yeah.
to let you do that, because that might open a whole Pandora's box for you.
Well, that's the problem also,
Or-
right? Where it's like, do you really want that? Because then you're never going to look at your husband the same.
Yeah, so I think you should actually ask yourself, really, what is it that you want?
Yeah.
Is it that you're actually having issues in your marriage and you're bored and you don't
Mhm.
find your husband sexy and blah, blah, blah? And you obviously can't say that to him because that's really cruel. But you are going to have to find some way of bridging a conversation
Yeah.
about your sex life. And maybe if he doesn't want to do this, which is perfectly understandable, is maybe find a way of doing something else that's fun and sexy that takes you out of the home with the children. So I don't know, you go away, you dress up as furries. I don't know what the hell you do.
Furries.
You
Mel
know-
loves a furry.
you go, I don't know, here's an idea. You
Yes.
go away for the weekend.
Mhm.
Obviously, get yourself a babysitter.
Yeah,
I know
yeah.
that's
Invite a
problematic.
prosy.
No, there's no prosies in this.
Okay,
Izzy.
sorry.
So get yourself hopefully Granny and Grandpa can take the kid.
Yeah.
Because it's very expensive babysitting. Go to the nicest hotel you can afford.
Mm-hmm.
Get yourself some underwear, and you don't need to spend lots of money on
No,
that.
you don't.
Let's say meet in the bar. Pretend you don't know each other.
Yes.
Have your raincoat on
Oh,
with
be
your sort
naked
of
underneath.
naughty whatever
your naughty
bits underneath.
Oh.
And then meet and have a silly and pretend you don't
Yes.
know, and then go back and ravage each other. I mean,
Have you done this before, Mel? It's like she's an expert.
but I'm just saying, think of things.
Okay.
Think of things that take you outside of your life that you are clearly finding very boring.
And that's good
And-
advice.
And you could actually also do it in an evening. Like you could go, let's say, go out for a drink.
Mhm.
You don't even have to, if you can't afford to go for a meal and drink. And I know the kids and blah, blah. Go for it. Meet for lunch. I don't know, while they're
for
at school.
Sexy lunch.
And go for sexy lunch. Go for a sexy date. Go to a
I
hotel.
love a midday treat.
Yeah. And just think, be creative, be imaginative. Do you like that?
I do.
So talk about that instead. Why don't you try and make your own life sexier?
Yeah, have sex in the car.
Exactly. That's also very uncomfortable.
Mel's like, just kidding.
That's
Don't do that.
Taking me back to the swing.
I love sex in the car.
Well, if you can manage it.
It's just like, it's a nice thing to do once in a while.
Yeah, as long as you don't get arrested. Yeah. Is
Who's getting
legal here?
arrested?
I think you get arrested in some countries.
Yeah, but that's if they catch you, Mel.
Well, I told you this summer that Max was walking somewhere, and
I was
he
like,
walked
were you
across
guys
the
having sex
car
in the
park.
car?
No,
Yeah,
we
no.
weren't having sex in the car. And he was walking, and we were in
You do have a big car.
Spain.
Yeah.
We weren't here, and it was like a car park, and there weren't many cars, and there was this car, and he was just walking by it, and the cars and in Europe the
Moving.
cars are very small. There's tiny cars like zzz, And then he just saw sort of bums flailing around and then realised it was two men.
Oh my God. 2 men?
Yeah, and that
Good
was
for them.
It's like, wow, that's interesting.
It's a bit of
Start
bum,
to my
bit of bum
day.
sex.
Bit of bum in the middle
Bit
of
of
the day.
bum.
But you see, they got it going and
little
exciting.
afternoon delight.
Exactly. Nothing to do with swinging. Anyway,
Maybe did.
so my advice is you're finding your life boring and you're getting very bogged down in the mundane
That is the real problem. with it.
blah.
Yeah.
So try and find ways to take your couple outside of the blah and do some fun stuff.
Mm-hmm.
And I understand that money, I have no idea, they haven't said, or she hasn't said, that money, but, you know, for most people who've got kids, money today is a bloody issue. And going out for dinner and staying in hotels. So just be a bit creative.
Yeah. Do a once a month thing.
Yeah. And,
Once a month.
and like, or write a story.
And make it a priority.
Or maybe, you know, here's another idea.
Oh.
Write a scenario. So give each other a bit of homework and say, you write your sort of sexy scenario and I'll write my, and then play the scene out.
Or just like read a book of erotica together.
Yeah.
Or listen to erotica together.
There are lots of things. And you can stay, like, if you find this like, oh my God, I can't do that.
Mm-hmm.
Start somewhere. Start slow.
Watch porn together. It's the easiest way to get it.
Yeah. You know, write your sexy whatever thing. Do your sexy rendezvous. Meet in the pub. Pretend you don't know each other. Meet all over again. Fall in love all over again.
Smoke a joint and have some sex.
Exactly.
Easy peasy.
I mean, yeah. I mean, it's easy to do that in Canada. It's not legal
where it's
everywhere.
legal.
Yeah.
Where it's legal, obviously.
Yeah. Those are my ideas. I think they're pretty sound.
I think they're excellent. If you guys have any other ideas about
spicing it up.
Spicing it up, but also maybe she should just become a swinger because she wants to. And maybe everyone should just live their lives.
Or she should just have an open relationship.
Yeah. Anyways, what do you guys think? You guys can tell us at sharingmytruth.com. You guys can leave us a little voicemail if you want to tell us about it. Send us an email. You guys can DM us at sharingmytruthpod on Insta. And we love ya.
See you next time.
Thanks for listening.
Bye.
Thanks so much for listening. Please rate and review this podcast and follow us on social at Sharing My Truth Pod. And leave us a voicemail on our website, sharingmytruth.com, to share your stories and experiences with us. We'll see you next time. Bye.
Bye.